Well, they should have been back on Earth weeks ago, but two NASA astronauts are still unable to leave the International Space Station. Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams launched aboard Boeing's new Starliner space capsule over a month ago.
Hey everybody, welcome to Studio 64. My name's David. I've been searching the interzones for some more science, space and tech news to share with you, and I came across this at The Bite. Yes, stranded Starliner spacecraft's thrusters have been overheating, NASA admits. I like this. But hey, at least they sort of know what's going on now. Are you serious? Thrust of the matter. Here we go. The thrusters on Boeing's cursed Starliner space capsule keep overheating, and NASA is hard at work on a fix for the issue that's led, in part, to its astronauts being stranded on the International Space Station. Well, there are two solutions for this. And I don't mean fix it, because I think that's a lemon, that spacecraft. You're either going to have to get Elon Musk to go and get a Dragon capsule to go and rescue them, or you're going to have to ask Putin for a Soyuz capsule to get them home and land them in Kazakhstan or something like that. That would be absolutely mind-blowingly hilarious. I mean, seriousness, everything aside, you know, I have no faith in this spacecraft. I hope the astronauts make it back safely. That's my hope, and I really want that to happen. But come on, this thing has got to be a lemon. It's got to be on Boeing's recall list. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? You know, this DEI hiring people. I don't care if your hair's the same color as this background picture. I don't care if you identify as a non-binary wombat on Thursdays. I don't care. Are you a good engineer? You know what I mean? This DEI hiring stuff is completely ridiculous. Be a good engineer first. Then, if you want to be that, with the blue hat, I've got no criticism of you. I don't have an issue at all, no judgment. But just do your job first. That's what's important. I mean, Elon Musk got $2.6 billion to ferry NASA astronauts back and forth to the space station and cargo loads, and he's done a number of very, very good runs in the last 4 years. Boeing got $4.2 billion, and you're stuck with this piece of garbage. It's fascinating. Now, I've got a little video here, bit of an update on the Boeing Starliner and the crew. We'll watch it, and then we'll come back and carry on the conversation when we come out the other side.
Well, they should have been back on Earth weeks ago, but two NASA astronauts are still unable to leave the International Space Station. Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams launched aboard Boeing's new Starliner space capsule over a month ago. And today we got an update directly from those astronauts. Our Phil Lipoff joins me now. So what do we hear from the crew, Phil?
Well, I would say in a word, we heard confidence from them. These NASA astronauts are aboard, as you said, this first crewed flight into space on Boeing's Starliner. Flight Commander Barry Butch Wilmore, who is right on the right there, and pilot Suni Williams have been stuck on the International Space Station for more than a month now, dealing with, among other issues, helium leaks and some thruster problems. Wilmore and Williams lifted off June 5th from Cape Canaveral in Florida. There it is, where they were expected to spend just a week aboard the ISS. NASA insists Wilmore and Williams are safe, and today, in an update, they agreed.
Confident that if there was a problem with the International Space Station, we can get in our spacecraft and we can undock, talk to our team, and figure out the best way to come home. Like I said, we've practiced a lot, so I have a feeling, I have a real good feeling in my heart that this spacecraft will bring us home, no problem.
It's hard to hear that and see that and not mention her hair. That is just amazing. Wilmore and Williams are test pilots, and that's important to note here. They pointed that out today when they were asked about the overall performance of Starliner. It's billions of dollars over budget, and now you have all these technical issues. They were asked the direct question, is it the spacecraft for the future, Kira, for future missions? And they answered it's human spaceflight, and it's not an easy regime, is what they said. And failure, as we've heard, is not an option. So they said they're going to gather all the data they can gather and do their job and come home safely as soon as possible. As for when they're coming home, we have an update. The earliest would be the end of July right now. Kira.
So if you had the chance, would you launch into space? I know it's like $1 million if you wanted to do it, right, on certain rockets.
Yeah, if someone paid my ticket, I'd do it.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. All right. Maybe we start soliciting a two-seater.
A GoFundMe page or something.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Phil.
Well, that was, I think, an interesting piece of propaganda, wasn't it? Yeah, my concern, as I said, is for the astronauts. I want them to get back safely. But this has just gone beyond a joke. It's completely insane. Dear, oh dear. You got to get Elon up there or Pooty Poots to get him back. That's all you're going to do, and that's going to be a major embarrassment for both NASA and Boeing. Now, as Ars Technica reports, God, I love that name. There's an Australian. Ars Technica. A technical arse. Fascinating. Ars! As Ars Technica reports, NASA officials admitted during a press conference earlier this week that the agency has been quietly testing out one of the spacecraft's errant thrusters here on Earth for the past month. Now, after having issues docking with the ISS due to its thrusters malfunctioning at the beginning of June, NASA apparently began investigating the issue at its White Sands, New Mexico testing facility to get to the bottom of the problem, as its engineers discovered the craft's four propulsion devices appear to be overheating. Now, as usual, I'll leave the link to the main article below the video so you can pop in, check out these embedded links, go for a bit of a deeper dive if you want. Makes for a more interesting read beyond the main article if you want to go that way. I love this. They're at White Sands, New Mexico test facility. What did they do? Not reverse engineer the UFO properly? That's just ridiculous. Unbelievable. What, you can't get a propulsion system, in a rocket to work properly? Dear God. Fascinating. Starliner's four thrusters are, as Ars explains. Oh, jeez. That's awesome. Situated around the circumference of the rocket in propulsion pods that agency officials refer to them as doghouses. Yes, I think there are going to be a few people in the doghouse and not just with their wife. I can tell you that much. Dear, oh dear. Due to a design flaw that appears to have been discovered during those tests, the doghouses result in a thermos-like insulation that keeps heat in, which in turn causes them to overheat. Well, that's what usually happens when the heat's kept in. Hot dog. Oh, here we go. This will be interesting. Along with the discovery of the hot doghouse issue, NASA also learned during the White Sands tests that the thrusters were, well, thrusting too much. I know some situations that's not a problem, but in this situation, I can understand why. It's like getting the accelerator stuck in your old car, isn't it, really? What we have found in this flight is that we have fired the thrusters more than expected, and I would say more frequently, explains Steve Stitch, NASA's Commercial Crew Program Manager. When I say frequently, I'm talking about how close you fire an individual thruster pulse to the next pulse of that thruster. Okay. So basically it's, you fire the thruster and then there's a delay between the next, directional thrust fire. Yeah, okay. So there's an issue there with the timing. Right, I get it. What we're trying to do at White Sands is really replicating exactly what those pulses were and those thrusters saw, and then understand the heating effects from those pulses, and then make sure there's no unintended consequences of those pulses, Stitch continued. That's a fairly basic thing there, Steve. I mean, you're a rocket in space. You need little retro rocket thruster things, don't you? Fascinating. Now, by testing the thruster out on the ground, NASA hopes, as Ars explains, to determine whether it was damaged from the additional stress it experienced. If agency engineers can prove that the thruster wasn't too harmed to fly, it could help them determine whether Starliner is safe to return the stranded astronauts back home. And given that the flight was supposed to last only 8 days and now is stretched to a month, those tests couldn't wrap up soon enough. Yeah, and there's another link there. Stranded astronauts absolutely confident in Boeing's leaky Starliner. I'm not. I just want them to come home safe, you know what I mean? It's absolutely fascinating, isn't it? I mean, this is the whole thing with the DEI. People go, David, you're a bigot. You fat son of a bitch. And I go, no, I don't care about your gender, preferences, or your political ideology, or the color of your hair, or your sexual preferences, or anything else. That's irrelevant to me. I don't care about all that. You're a good person, you're a good person. But for God's sake, be an even better engineer. Fascinating, isn't it? All right, well, my name is David. Thanks for joining me for another Studio 64 Science, Space and Tech News update. I shall see you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're up for it, drop a comment down below the video, because I'd love to hear what you think. All right, take care. And as I always say, if you can't be good at it. And as I also always say,
fascinating, but quite impossible.